Across the border in Zimbabwe, leading activist pastor Evan Mawarire was released on bail yesterday evening after spending 13 days in jail. He was arrested on subversion charges following anti-government protests sparked by a sharp increase in fuel prices. Mawarire joins us now on Skype from Harare. Pastor, very good to have you with us. What happened? Why were you released?
Well, my bail application was finally heard after it had been denied in the magistrate's court. And the High Court finally heard my bail application and agreed that I could be released on bail. And I think that is a step in the right direction, because over the last 14 days of my incarceration, myself and many other people had been denied bail. And we had cases that, qualified for bail, taking into consideration how many had been, how people had been arrested and abused, and how due process had also been flouted.
Yes, I believe you saw some horrific sights in jail. Can you tell us what it is that you saw that people had gone through?
Well, first and foremost, there are hundreds of men that I was jailed with in Chikurubi Maximum Security Prison and charged with inciting public violence. I am currently charged with subversion and also inciting public violence, of course, which are false charges. Some of the things that I saw and spent time praying and counseling with men in the prison were men with broken limbs, and I'm talking about broken arms and broken legs from beatings that they sustained, from beatings given to them by these soldiers or police when they were arrested. Many of these men and young men were pulled out of their homes as they slept, some of them with their wives, and beaten outside and then dropped off at police stations. Their wives who came to see them in Chikurubi then told them that when the husbands had been put into prison, some of those soldiers or policemen or whoever they were came back to the houses and raped these women. So it was horrible to watch this. We were also jailed with underage children, that were in prison with us. When I left last night, 24 hours ago, there were 3 16-year-old boys that had been locked up in Chikurubi Maximum Security Prison for 3 weeks together with the other men.
Okay, so we've heard the police and the military say that they've had nothing to do with this, but you seem to corroborate the allegations that they are, most of them, involved in this. And I just wonder why this level of violence and brutality. What do you think their point is?
To be honest, I think that every citizen in Zimbabwe is shocked at the level of brutality, the level of heavy-handedness, the wanton beating of people. It's surprising and shocking to us, because we came out of the Robert Mugabe regime, and the thought was that we are definitely headed, even in a small way, we are definitely headed towards a better nation, that all that the new government had to do was to perform marginally better than what Robert Mugabe did. And so the shock is that they haven't, that they've gone worse. And every man I spoke to in Chikurubi Maximum Security Prison told me of soldiers, men in fatigues with guns, police officers in police uniforms that beat them up. And I think the surprising thing is that they were handed over to police stations, where the police stations received them and processed them. If these were not police, if they were not soldiers, why were people processed and taken to court?
And do you think this is Mnangagwa's order? Do you think that this is what he wants to see? Because as you say, there was a moment where everybody felt that there was going to be positive change. And I'm just wondering why this route, this direction, has been chosen.
To be honest with you, it baffles me, it baffles many Zimbabweans why this route would be chosen. I don't know whether this is President Emmerson Mnangagwa's order. I don't know whether it is what they have collectively decided, because I don't see the point. I don't understand why they would do something like this at home and yet try to sell the country abroad as being open for business, as they say. In fact, when this happened, Mnangagwa himself was away, had traveled away on a trip, which was supposedly selling the country. So it doesn't make any sense. I don't know what has happened, why they have done it. All I know as an ordinary citizen is that this is not the kind of Zimbabwe.
Yes, I believe he was in Russia recently when it was all kicking off, and he took forever to come back. and he decided not to go to Davos, possibly wisely, that he had his begging bowl in Russia. I mean, what sort of impact do you think this is having on the economy and day-to-day living of everybody there?
Well, I mean, undoubtedly, the impact that this will have on the efforts that the government has been trying to do to bring the economy back is obviously negative and takes us years back. And nobody wants to invest in a country where there's no rule of law. Nobody wants to live in a country where the citizens of the country are abused to the level that the citizens of Zimbabwe have been abused in the last 2 to 3 weeks. So it's unfortunate that it takes us back, but at the end of the day, it's again the ordinary person that suffers, which is why it is vitally important that our country arrives at a place of peace and dialogue.
What do you think of the victims? I mean, it seems pretty random who they're choosing, so I guess that's sort of a psychological fear that they're imposing. Is the end game here possibly to get rid of whatever opposition is still around and able to take the government on?
I think that it would be foolish to try and get rid of opposition, because that is the validation of democracy. That is a part of a democratic Zimbabwe which we claim to have. And my hope is that that is not the goal, that the goal is not to try and eradicate democratic voices, that the goal is not to try and eradicate those that stand for constitutionalism, because we need that. We need the voice of civic society. We need the voice of opposition parties, because that's what helps to build a better nation. So we pray that that is not the goal at all.
And obviously the neighbours are concerned, South Africa in particular, that this is going to lead to more people coming in, and we know about the xenophobic problems that we have here. I'm just wondering what sort of influx South Africa should prepare for.
Well, I mean, there is no doubt that when something like this happens, the natural response of an ordinary person who just wants a better life for themselves is to move elsewhere. And so I think that there's got to be a preparation in neighboring countries of Zimbabweans who will want to move there and want to leave their own country, which is really, really sad. And I think this may be why it is important for the SADC region to quickly come in and help Zimbabwe and sit with our leaders and find a solution, because it will have a ripple effect on all the nations that are in
But the wrong solution is giving money to the country, isn't it? I know that, we've been looked to hand over cash. South Africa says it doesn't have any. That would just sanction what's been going on.
Well, I suppose, in a sense, I think there really needs to be better accountability in Zimbabwe of how resources are handled. And I think that's what is at the core of our financial or economic problems, is that we have not been accountable, that we have gone ahead and made decisions concerning the national resources that have had no one watching or no one putting the brakes on them. So I think dialogue first. Let's set the pace for dialogue. Let's set the pace for a national vision, an inclusive national vision, and then let's go out together and ask those who can help us to help us.
Pastor Mawarire, thank you very much. I believe you've had your passport taken, so you're not going anywhere, but I really appreciate you speaking to us.